Hello everyone, Christopher Gates from the Daily Norseman here to talk about this afternoon's NFL contest between the St. Louis Rams and the Minnesota Vikings. This game saw the Vikings come out on top by a score of 36-22 down at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis. And the big story for the Vikings, just as it has been for most of the year, is the continued resurgence of running back Adrian Peterson. We're running out of adjectives for Adrian Peterson here in Minnesota, folks. Today he had 24 carries, put up 212 yards rushing, and had a long 82-yard touchdown run that broke a 7-7 tie and kind of set the Minnesota Vikings on the right path for the rest of the afternoon. The Rams had not allowed an individual rusher to go over 65 yards in any of the past 4 games, and as I just mentioned, Peterson pretty much smashed through that total with his 82-yard touchdown run early in the second quarter. Basically, we're now watching Adrian Peterson for his pursuit of 2,000 yards and his pursuit of Eric Dickerson. He currently has 1,812 rushing yards, which is already a career best for him, topping the 1,760 yards he put up in 2008. In order to get 2,000 yards for the season, he needs to average 94 yards a game over the last 2. And in order to pass Eric Dickerson's record of 2,105 yards, he needs to collect 147 yards per game in the Vikings' last 2 contests. Hopefully he can get that. He might be the Offensive Player of the Year, he might be the Comeback Player of the Year, he might be the most valuable player in the National Football League, but nobody can argue at this point anymore that Adrian Peterson is anything but the best running back in the National Football League. As far as some other aspects of the Minnesota Vikings victory this past Sunday, for the first time in a long time we have to give some credit to quarterback Christian Ponder. He didn't put up eye-popping numbers as far as yardage is concerned, only throwing for 131 yards, but he completed over 70% of his passes and quite frankly set the tone for the Vikings on the first drive of the game. Minnesota's first possession, Adrian Peterson carried the ball 5 times for -3 yards as the Rams seemed to really be keyed in on him, but Ponder had completions of 11, 14, and 16 yards, also converted a big 4th down deep in Rams territory, and then on 3rd and goal from the 5, it looked like he was dead to rights and that Rams defensive end Robert Quinn had him wrapped up for a sack, but Ponder somehow bounced off of him and managed to run his way into the end zone for a 5-yard touchdown. Gave the Vikings an early 7-0 lead, and he showed that, when he gets a little bit of time, when he actually keeps his cool, he does have some ability and can possibly lead this team in the future. Now, like I said, he didn't put up great numbers or anything like that, but with the way Adrian Peterson is running and the way this team is going so far, Ponder just has to make the occasional play here and there. He has to be efficient, and when he's in 3rd and manageable, he has to convert those opportunities, and he did quite a bit of that this afternoon. So maybe for the first time in quite a while we won't have to listen to the Joe Webb-Christian Ponder debate at quarterback, because Christian Ponder looked the part of an NFL quarterback today, and he played a pretty significant role in the Vikings pulling out this victory. Defensively for the Minnesota Vikings, once again, this game came down to turnover ratio. The Vikings had a fumble recovery after a bad exchange between Sam Bradford and his center, and followed that up with a 29-yard interception return for a touchdown by Everson Griffin. That means the Vikings forced 2 turnovers on the afternoon while not having any turnovers of their own, and it doesn't really get any simpler for the Vikings this season than the plus-minus as far as whether they win or lose. In games this season where they are even or better in the turnover ratio, they are 8-0. Any games they go into the negative this year, they are 0-6. So we'll hopefully see that pattern continue. Hopefully the Vikings can continue being smart with the ball and not turning the ball over and keeping themselves on the winning track here. As far as where we go from here, if the season ended today, yes, the Minnesota Vikings would be your number 6 seed in the 2012 NFC playoffs, but we do have quite a bit of football left to be played, including a trip next week to the team that appears as though they're going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs, the Houston Texans, before returning to the Metrodome to finish the season against the NFC North champion Green Bay Packers. Adrian Peterson, chance to possibly secure a playoff spot. Contrary to what they gave us last year, the Vikings are at least going to be pretty intriguing over the last couple weeks of the 2012 season. They've already really surpassed expectations, and if Leslie Frazier can push this team into a playoff spot, it would be leaps and bounds ahead of what pretty much every Vikings fan thought going into this season. We'll be here to cover all of it for you, so thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.